Chapter 80, Interlude, Surprise Guests. After the rather emotional conclusion to the tale of the Zeebee's mission, no one was eager for more story at that point. The whole group was more than happy to wind down quietly as night settled in. A quiet but filling repast was the only prelude to a comforting rest. Gore returned to the ship the Starborn trio had arrived in, plugging himself in to recharge. Rundus chose to curl up on the roof of the crystalline castle, finding himself at home amongst the shimmering spires. The Crusaders curled up together under Celestia's wing at her offer, since she claimed she missed the feeling of a young filly curled up to her after a tiring day, sending an amused glance towards Twilight's flustered face. Ah, the fond memories from the time between Twilight being old enough to live in the castle and outgrowing the need for motherly comfort. With the Crusaders under her wing, Celestia curled up in a watchful position, as the rest of the group, save Discord himself, arrayed themselves comfortably over Spike's massive form as he found his most comfortable rest position, not unlike the rest position of the Chozo statues. Discord chose to sleep in the air above everyone, constantly circling in random patterns as he snored in 57 randomly selected different languages, only about half of which being of planetary origin. Luna, for her part, had her own duties to attend to. With everyone else asleep, she took the time to ensure none were dealing with any unpleasant dreams before tending to the rest of Equestria. One of the advantages of her night-based duties was that she could tend to them while everyone else slumbered, meaning they took no time away from listening to Spike and Samus stories. She could even tend to her duties while her own body rested should the need arise, so she could be relaxed and refreshed for wakefulness at any time. As she still did not need to return to Night Court, she took advantage of this for tending to the Dream Realm. After seeing to the Dream Realm, she turned her eyes to her stars. She worked so hard to tend to the night and everything it represented for her little ponies, but she'd had no idea just how much life there was out amongst them, how much adventure and excitement, and danger. She'd walked the surface of her moon once, after being freed from the nightmare, as a means of coming to terms with her past mistakes. As a result, she'd been further from their mother soil than any pony in the history of their people. And yet that was little better than full steps compared to how far Spike had gone, only to return. She let out a sigh of relief, though, knowing that all who had come to the world from the stars had been friends, and knowing that they would need to know where they were going to get to the world that was under her care. Her ears perked and she frowned, feeling something odd in the space surrounding her world. Something was approaching, large and metal, and on a direct course for the planet. Quickly tracking its trajectory, she was able to determine it was coming in for a landing within the Everfree forest. Spreading her wings, Luna made her way to the anticipated landing site to receive these new visitors from the stars, and to give them whatever welcome she deemed appropriate. She was grateful she'd taken the precautions of plucking knowledge of galactic languages from the minds of their visitors, so that she would be able to understand what was said if those in the vessel were invited friends. The ship came in for a landing, more swiftly but far less smoothly than either of the other ships that had arrived. Whereas Samus' ship was smooth and sleek by design to the point of being almost organic, and Rundus and Gore's ship was crystalline as though it had been grown from the ground, this one was boxy and clunky, obviously designed by ones who valued function far over form. The black, bulky ship had a large engine on the back, presently deactivated, and two engines on wings to either side which were lowering the ship to the ground as the vegetation of the Everfree pulled away from it, giving it a wider berth than the clearing originally allowed for. As the ship came to a halt, Luna stepped more fully behind the tree that was her cover, watching as a ramp lowered, waiting to see what came off. The first figure that stepped out was bipedal, looking to be not unlike Samus in biological configuration, equipped with a grey and dark blue armor suit with an orange faceplate. The figure glanced around for a time, a gun of some sort, what she'd seen in Spike's dreams suggested it was an energy rifle, strapped to its back. It then turned towards the ship before calling out in Galactic Standard. "Atmosphere's okay," he called out, his voice deep with a pleasing timbre. A few exotic trace elements, but nothing harmful. A lot cleaner than most planets we've been on. "Conserve your air then," a more authoritative voice called from inside the ship, this one much less pleasant in tone as well as sounding somewhat older. The source of the voice stepped out, raising the faceplate on his power suit to reveal a pale face with grey-green eyes. "But stay watchful. We don't know what kind of environment we'll find here. The little guy wanted to come back here, so it must be pretty nice. The first human pointed out, lifting his faceplate to reveal a dark brown face. Luna would personally describe it as chocolate, with golden brown eyes and an open, friendly smile. Remember just what he's capable of, the older human countered. This is the environment that created that little guy. Don't let your guard down. Luna managed to smile. They were talking about Spike, so she was pretty certain based on what she saw in Spike and Samus' dreams who these two were. She knew one for certain. Anthony Higgs? She called out as she stepped out. And Commander Adam Malkovich, if I'm not mistaken? Anthony blinked as he stared at her. Commander? How did we get to the planet of psychic talking pony people? Adam stepped forward, his hands going to his weapons. Identify yourself, he demanded, firmly but not with hostility. Luna chuckled. Forgive my rudeness. I am Luna, Princess of the Moon, co-regent of this entire region, and a good friend of Spike's. He's told us a great deal about his adventures, and mentioned a fondness for his Uncle Tony's drinking songs. Anthony managed to chuckle. Okay, guess we've just got the most unusual sophons we've encountered yet. He lowered his weapons. Lucky she speaks Galactic Standard. He raised his hand to his brow, pantomiming tipping his hat. Evening, Princess. Adam straightened, relaxing his hands but not removing them from his weapons. Apologies for intruding on your territory, ma'am, he offered politely. We detected a signal from this region of space on Samus' private frequency. Since it was the same code we used back when she was in my unit, we acted under the assumption it was a distress beacon and came to her aid. Might you know where we can find her? Luna suppressed her own chuckles, but couldn't suppress her smile. Worry not. You are not the first friends of Spike and his star-born mother to arrive on our home soil. Come, allow me to guide you to them. This forest can be quite dangerous to those it is not accustomed to, but you will be safe with me. Seeing Anthony open his mouth, she raised a hoof. Please save questions until we reach the town. We do not want to draw the attention of the creatures here, either. Once they both nodded in agreement, Luna turned and led them to town, making sure to warn them away from a large patch of poison joke near the path, though she had to go so far as to seize Anthony's hand in her magic to prevent him from plucking a bloom, the impish look on his face indicating a plan of mischief. It wasn't long before they reached the edge of town, at which point Luna led the pair straight into the castle, and to the room where everyone had curled up to sleep, as she felt this was worth an early wake-up. Adam and Anthony's first sight of Spike after not meeting him for several years showed him with his back towards the far wall, facing the door with his head hanging down towards his lap, eyes closed. Rainbow Dash was curled up on his head between his horns, with Applejack resting against the back of his neck with her legs hanging over his shoulders. Pinkie Pie curled up in his elbow, while Rarity and Fluttershy were curled up on his knees. Twilight slept curled up in his tail, while Gandrada lay in his lap, her head by his stomach. One hand held Samus and her morph ball, while the other rested on Gandrada. Anthony let out an appreciative whistle that startled everyone awake, the translation magic based in the stones of the castle itself letting everyone understand what he said. Damn, ankle biter! He crowed. Forget to turn your swag off? Spike's head shot up, nearly unseating Rainbow. Uncle Tony? He gasped out, shocked. Hey Adam? Adam? Samus asked in shock, quickly unrolling. Anthony? Looks like there are some introductions in order. Discord cackled as he flipped end over end in midair. Adam nodded. I'd say a lot of explanations are in order, he agreed. He then turned to Samus. Any objections, lady? With a smirk, Samus extended her right fist, with her thumb pointing downward.